It's called Phobophobia. It's a Black India Pale Ale. It's supposed to be like a limited release for Halloween.
I have no idea what Black India means, but I know what a pale ale is, and pale ales are usually light ale.
It was brewed in Virginia.
Does that say 53% alcohol content? That's not possible. It's a joke.
I don't know. It's 6.6.
That's actually kind of high for a beer.
And this one was $3. Our last one was $5. Same amount. Would you like to do the honors of opening it? And you're squishing her.
Sorry.
Monster.
I'm sorry. Now everybody knows whenever you open a can, you have to give her a good thwack.
Let's stop there. It appears to have gone flat.
It's not flat. I want to get all of the contents out of the can. And I want to observe if this has floaties.
Our last one had floaties.
It wasn't done, I don't think. And I think that this one is very much in the same batch.
Well, these are two different breweries.
Yes, they are.
Maybe
But
it's...
you can see it floating around quite a bit.
Yeah, this one also has quite a bit of floaties. Maybe it's how long it sat.
Beer usually doesn't go bad like that. This is going to be nearly impossible to show you guys. But if you look really close to see all those floating particles, that is not... That's yeast. That's not CO2. The glasses were cleaned.
Yes.
So...
I did inspect the glasses. They were very much clean.
They were very much clean. Usually what that means is, this ain't done.
Odd that two from the same year aren't done from completely different breweries.
It could be practices, like just how pretty much everyone does the same thing, but presents different products. And they are limited releases, so you might say that the practice is flawed.
Maybe.
So, let's taste it. Wow. It's kind of like... It's got the darkness of a stout. But it kind of has the bite of like an IPA. But...
It has a really strong flavor.
It does. It's a very potent flavor.
It's very bitter.
It tastes like an IPA, ultimately. It gets a little bit smoother. So what I'm doing here is sometimes your first impression on something can be disrupted because you don't have the flavor in your mouth. With things with a complex flavor, specifically brews or sometimes spirits as well, when you taste it multiple times, you can get different effects. And so that's what people say sometimes when they say like a very complex flavor. Like Arrogant Bastard, for example. They have a beer that is... It is. And you can taste it as many times as you'd like, and it will likely leave a different zing in your mouth every single time.
I didn't like that one either.
This one's palatable, though. It's not overly carbonated. It did not go flat. Let's clarify that right now. It does not have a heavy head on it.
also that, like, you can't really tell that it has floaties when you drink it.
That is true. But we mentioned this in our last video. This is my experience with brewing. If you have a brew that is not completed, the yeast will reproduce and there's just a bunch of it. And then in the later sections of the batch, what is supposed to happen is the vast majority of the sugar has been eaten and turned into alcohol. And all of the yeast that has reproduced and is now floating, it's suspended in your batch, it is supposed to drop down to the bottom because alcohol is lighter than sugar and yeast can't survive in it. So usually what you have at the tail end is in your bucket or fermenter or whatever you have. Sometimes people use kegs. You have a bunch of yeast that is accumulated on the bottom. And that's a very good sign that you're done. But when they mass produce these, I suspect that they're doing pressure fermenting, as most people do, and there just isn't a whole lot of science to it, and so they're kind of like winging it, basically. And this one, I don't know how they keep doing this. It could just be that we are unlucky and we got the bottom of the keg in our can. So sometimes if you also have too much yeast, it'll taste like you're drinking bread. Like a loaf of bread. It does not taste good. Do not use bread yeast in alcohol. Nobody wants to drink a loaf of bread. This is not 1776 anymore. Fun thing, if you're interested. Once upon a time, beers were like the main staple, and in America, they called it a pint of bread. Yeah. Supposedly, beers back in those days were so nutritious and just well-rounded and full-bodied that it had as much vitamins as a loaf of bread.
I feel like that's an ad campaign.
I don't know how much I believe in that because I don't know of a single brewery from the Revolutionary to Civil War time period that still exists in America. I don't know of a single one. I don't think that there's anybody that's like, we've been brewing the same recipe for 270-ish years. I don't think there's anyone that's done that. Yeah, let's talk about your stuff. What do we got?
Oh, well, same as last week. We got two little Halloween bears. This one's from 2010. He's one of their later ones. And this one is from 2005. And he is really furry.
These are both the Starbucks bears?
Yep. And yeah, this would be all four of my Halloween bears. Come Christmas, I'll whip out my very first Starbucks bear.
Ooh. For those of you that don't know, once upon a time, Starbucks used to do like limited edition teddy bears. And they used to do it for just about every occasion. I mean, like, sometimes they're regional, they're like something sports tournament, a lot of people, X, Y, and Z. Other times it was like, this is Easter, this is Leif Erikson Day, this is Columbus Day, you know, like, literally every holiday.
Come to think of it, I think 2010 is about when the RAR means I love you whole thing was going on. You know, that whole, like...
I know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
I've been working very hard to suppress that.
Yes, and I think that this was the Halloween one that year. And most of mine still have the little tag on it, because authenticity, you don't rip them off, value and all that stuff.
Not that they'll ever be sold anyways, but...
Yeah.
It's more like a bragging token.
Yeah. But I think that was their whole play into pop culture is they made a little dinosaur one that year. And in 2005, they went with the whole kitty cat.
Fuzzy.
And you can really feel the difference between 2005 and 2010 because this one's got like the Beanie Baby butt and it's really loose in the stomach. And then this one is like firm and no Beanie Baby bite.
It's like all air.
This is just stuffing. It's got a little bit
Yeah.
of beans, but it doesn't have the Beanie Baby bite.
Mm. I bet that they did that as a weight.
Yeah. Like, he sits so much better.
Well, arguably, but yeah.
Well, I mean, he's been kind of abused and stuck in a box for how long? And then this one doesn't sit. So it's kind of fun to look at the quality over the years.
Who made this beer?
That is a good question. Smart Mouth Brewing Company. And I do believe that this one is located in Virginia Beach, and I do believe we've driven by it a couple of times. And I will say that their label is not that great of quality, because I pulled a couple of these tabs off, and here's another one down here, that the label is just, like, coming apart.
Well, you have to understand that these are definitely small batches, and so these printing labels are probably something similar to what a novice could reasonably do at their home.
Yeah. But it's got some pretty good art on it. And then on this side, we've got...
So, this isn't... I don't know, man. This is...
It's a weird one.
I really just don't understand these brewing companies that you start up and you go out there and then you just make something so strange and odd that ultimately to me makes no sense whatsoever. Like, I don't think that there's anybody in the stout community that said, gee, I drink stouts regularly. I sure wish it had a bite of an IPA. Why?
Now, I do know, or at least I do believe, that Smart Mouth is one of the craft brewing companies. So everything they make is small batch. And they're local and recent. And so this may have been one of their first limited release type things. But I
Now
don't
that I've drank
recall.
a bit down, you can really, like, zero in and look at it.
Those are some pretty big chunks.
That,
And they're different colors.
yeah, yeast and yeast nutrients. Now, it could also be that these are just flakes from the grain. So, I don't typically brew with a lot of grainy stuff. So that's not particularly my forte. However,
It's pretty chunky.
I do know what yeast looks like. And that, my friend, is hella yeast. Do you want to grab the camera and try and get a shot of it?
No, I don't think my camera's gonna pick up well on that. I can try to take a picture of it
Sure.
and insert a picture somewhere, probably right here.
Yeah.
But
Like, I don't even think that's spices. It doesn't have any spice characteristics at all.
no,
So,
I would say that this is pretty spice free.
yes. This is the kind of beer that I used to mix with whiskey.
Why?
Because I wanted to forget. I was tired of remembering. I wanted to forget.
Yeah, they don't have like any information on it. So
There was a deal at Hy-Vee where if you had your own growler, you could walk in and get it refilled. And usually what was on the tap was all different stuff. But what I would do is it's cheaper than buying cans or bottles to get it refilled. And Hy-Vee had like a deal with the local craft brewers and craft brewer community in this particular area, which I'm not going to say because this is illegal, they kind of have a mind your business sort of policy. There's only a certain amount of alcohol level that you can have in a beer that can be distributed. Well, in the local area, everyone minds their business and kind of shuts up a bit, which I really appreciate. And so you can buy beers that are like 15%, which is illegal. You're not allowed to do that. Beers are not allowed to exceed 12%. And so a 13, 14, 15, or etc. beer is not allowed. Meads, and one of the reasons why they're so scarce is because they have a very special branding. And I forget what it is, but meads don't fall into the beer or wine category. And it's the same thing with soju. And sometimes sake, but usually sake in the US is pretty cheap and crap. But anyways, I could get these high alcohol content beers, and I found out as a fresh 21-year-old alcoholic that if you take these craft beers and you put piss tier whiskey that's been through a Brita filter and you mix them together, you forget fast. And that is not good for your liver, and you should not do that. And I am not telling you to do this. As a matter of fact, I'm giving you this information because I've done it
So you
to
don't
not
do it.
do this specifically. There's a lot of information that I have missed. Some people chose heroin. I chose alcohol.
It's kind of a depressing note to end on, but
Well, now we know.
life lessons, kids.
I fell down a lot of stairs. I got hurt in a lot of ways. I don't remember it. I remember waking up going, why does that hurt so bad? And I go take a shower and look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God. If somebody sees that, I'm going straight to the police department. And they're like, nope, no, domestic violence, right there. There it is. I wasn't living with anybody. I think I was living with my parents at this point in time. But it looked bad, man. One time I think I fell on a guardrail for stairs or something like that, but it was one of those steel ones. And I hit my back, right in my lower back, and it looked like somebody punched my kidney. It was so bad. I was like, how did I fall like that? And then I learned my lesson real well the next night. Back at it again. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. If you hear boomers talk about how we have it so much easier, I would like to say that I am a testament of it's not easier, it's just different. And we cope in different ways. But now it's more frowned upon. So.
Hey, let's not get all emotional and sentimental.
Okay, it's been 20 minutes. I have to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna finish this beer. And, okay, bye.
Bye.